Welcome to the Behind the Aisle podcast, where we're just two wedding professionals sharing a no bullshit approach to what goes on behind the scenes in the industry. My name is Katie, and I'm a wedding planner.
And I'm Sarah. I'm a wedding photographer.
This is our first What the Fuck Wednesday
It's
episode.
What the Fuck Wednesday.
Dude, I'm so stoked.
So stoked.
I think the most of you here also are freaking stoked.
This is honestly why we kind of started this podcast too, just to air grievances, and we couldn't figure out how to air grievances without just kind of sharing too much and just being a shit talking podcast of airing grievances. So now this is where we get to talk about things that come up that are smaller. They don't deserve a full topic podcast on. They're just smaller little grievances, and we want to hear from you guys about what those grievances may be, big or small, and we've got some good ones to share. So people actually wrote in, which is amazing.
Yeah, we're really stoked. So for those that took the time to write in, we're very thankful for you. And then if you are listening to this and you're like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? If you go to our website, behindtheaislepodcast.com, there is a form that you can fill out, and you can literally share your grievance. You can choose to be anonymous or not if you want to, and literally just share of a horrible wedding experience, whether it's from a client or was it from a fellow wedding vendor of any kind. Because at the end of the day, yes, we are spilling tea, but I think another reason why that we wanted to do this too is just to continue to build the education of hey, let's break some norms.
Yep.
That are not supposed to be norms, but that ended up being norms, unfortunately. So just to also build a community in the sense of oh wow, I'm not the only person who dealt with X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
Or a catering team who started speeches when the photographer wasn't in the room. On that note,
let's do this. Let's do it. All right. So, I think later on down the line, what I suggested is we don't look at these grievances prior to get the shock value, I guess. We have read these somewhat. I don't think I've read all of them, but I kind of want to keep some of them a surprise sometimes.
Do it, yeah.
So we don't know. I think we have one or two people that have decided to not be anonymous, you little badasses. And then I think everyone else decided to be anonymous. And I think, should we start by airing a couple of grievances of our own? Maybe we start with one of each of us, and then we read a couple of other people's.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
You didn't think of one beforehand, did you?
No, I didn't. I had to be quite honest. However, is it going to take me a long time to probably think about one? No. I've got shit ton,
repertoire.
Man. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I tell people all the time that I could write multiple novels if I even liked writing, which I don't.
So, luckily nothing happened at this last wedding that I was at. So that was great. We did not have any grievances to air on that one. I know. I will say, more times than not, my weddings go very, very smoothly.
Same.
There's just occasionally a little hiccup that is just no fun for anyone. Let's see. Where should we start? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I was just thinking in my head.
I should have peed before this.
Nice. The team also had one this past Saturday. Or was past. I shouldn't put days
I know.
a week.
What are we gonna do?
The team also didn't have one this past week. I didn't have one this past week, but the team did. And nothing went wrong except for just summer weddings are just belligerently hot. It's just hot, bro.
And the weather here is unpredictable.
Virginia has been acting a lot like Florida, where it's just raining for 10 minutes and then it goes away. And I'm like,
the worst 10 minutes possible, though.
Torrential downpour. We have to, as fellow other wedding vendors who are listening to this, you're probably like, yeah, I totally feel that. Where we have to make a rain call and it rains for 10 minutes, then it's beautiful and sunny out. And it's this rain plan now is not needed, but
yeah,
here we are.
We rain called it. We did first.
Oh, no way.
Well, yeah, we had to. So it was rain. When I looked earlier in the day, it was not supposed to rain. And then I got to the venue and they're like, yeah, we're rain calling. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Where's the rain?
When did this happen? And yeah, so the ceremony was at 4 and there was supposed to be rain between 3 and 5.
Okay.
And so they just rain called it. first look was supposed to happen like literally 3 minutes before I was about to put the groom outside. It started torrential downpouring.
No.
So luckily the venue has they don't have great options for like a quiet space.
Ew.
So everyone was very, very gracious and like left the whole setup so that I could do it in the middle of the reception space.
That's nice.
But yeah, so it turned out fine, and then it didn't rain during the ceremony, but they'd already rain planned it, so we couldn't fit the arbor through the door.
Okay.
So we ended up doing it inside, but it was fine. And then then it stopped raining before the ceremony, so there was no rain during the ceremony. And then we got to do some pictures outside, which was nice, and they got a sunset. We didn't do sunset photos, but we got a sunset, so that was nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Ended up working out okay.
Yeah, it was fine.
That's our first grievance. The damn weather.
Freaking weather. Okay, well, let's do this. Venues with no rain plan. Because we've been there.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah. So if you are a non-wedding vendor and are for some reason a client listening to this, or a potential bride that's going to get married at some point. Vendors can also get married.
Or maybe you're newly in the game, or you just haven't really thought about this either.
Right. But choose a venue where you like the rain plan as well.
Like when you go for venue tours,
there needs to be a rain plan.
For real.
Don't pretend it's not a thing. Like
there's so many clients, Sarah, that like literally they don't like at the final walkthrough, they don't want to talk about the rain plan. They're like, no, but it's just not going to rain. And I'm like, I would love for it not to rain. We are hoping and praying that it's not going to rain, but us not talking about it is setting ourselves up for so much failure.
It's gonna rain.
And yes, if it's almost like
Murphy's
if we don't do it, then then it ends up going to rain, and then we're all running around with our heads cut off. So yeah, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you are doing like venue tours and walkthroughs and things of that nature too, like your rain plan as much as you possibly can. I do understand that not every venue is going to have a beautiful rain plan. We hope that fellow venue owners, if y'all are building something from the ground up, please think about the rain plan. There's so many things that you have to be thinking about anyway.
Yeah. Even if it's just having a clear tent on standby.
Something.
Or the ability to bring in a clear tent or a tent in general, and a space where that tent is not in mud would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Like an actually like concreted area. Just being able to have a decent rain plan so you're not completely panicked and panicking your couple, and if it rains then we can have a smooth transition into a rain plan and not be freaked out.
Correct.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've had clients just pretend that it's not going to rain, and then it rains, and now we're just doing it in the middle of the reception space where everyone's sitting at their tables, which fucks everything up because now we can't do reception shots because everyone's sitting at the tables now. So then we just kind of bleed right into cocktail hour.
I know, it's really awkward.
Yeah.
That's weird. Again, so talking to you guys like who are vendors or venue owners, or maybe you are, you work for a venue, and you're coming on the scene potentially with like fresh new perspective, start thinking about some new ways potentially to introduce like a rain plan. There are several venues where like, the only rain plan is to be like in the reception space. And then to all my fellow planners that are out there, if you are calling a rain plan, here's my encouragement then for you is to think about, okay, how are you going to pivot the timeline in order for reception shots to happen prior to ceremony? I know it's not always going to happen depending on the production, any kind of installments that you guys are doing. Have a conversation with your caterers, but try your damnedest then to try to get any kind of like pre-reception photos done. Pre-reception, but like reception photos before a ceremony. Yeah,
and I encourage any vendor to over communicate with your clients and force them to talk about a rain plan, and don't let them like just skate by it and pretend it's not going to happen, because they need to know. And I think any venue should also come to you beforehand and be like, hey, this is also our rain plan. Like, don't just like not have one, or like have it up to the client to bring that up to you, and then they don't really know what to expect if it does rain,
or if they don't even know their options. That's the other thing too that I've run into is that where I've gone to a venue and I'll be like, okay, what are our rain plan options? Oh, y'all can do whatever you want. No, we cannot.
No,
we can't. Because let me
that's
tell
not
you
a
something, that I will make something up real crazy. And then you'll be like, no, we can't have, like, don't do that. So don't give us the world just because you're like, well, if we're underneath certain like circumstances, then yeah, you can just have the world. Like, we can't, there's no way.
I also think some venues are afraid. I'm blanket statementing this, but I think some venues are afraid that by giving the rain plan, it scares their clients away. Do you think that? Because like maybe the rain plan is not the greatest, and if we don't talk about it, then we'll just figure it out on the day.
Oh, potentially.
And then,
Yeah.
And then they're kind of stuck with it at this point because they've already
Those
decided.
that don't talk about the rain plan, yes, like at a potential, like especially a site visit or a 1st tour, it is because, yeah, the rain plan isn't pretty.
Yeah.
And then they think that that's going to be a deterrent. But and in reality, that could be a deterrent.
It might be.
Because I'll be honest, a lot of us planners out here, just those that are giving, couples education, we do say like, hey, ask for the rain plan and make sure it's something that you do enjoy and that you do like. But now it comes full circle. Again, like I mentioned before, is that for our venue partners, y'all have to, as much as you possibly can try, especially if you are building a venue from the ground up, you have to think about that stuff. You have to think about, okay, if I am going to be building a venue from the ground up, think about obviously getting ready spaces, because that's a whole other thing we can even talk about. And, but y'all have to think about too, and it's not even just rain plan. We're also talking about inclement weather, like talking about like these weddings in the heat, where I've had
me tell you,
or weddings in the cold too.
Yeah.
Last March, I had a client getting married at a beautiful winery. Ceremony space is typically outdoors. Cocktail hour can kind of be in and out, and obviously reception is inside a beautiful ballroom. It was still the end of March, so we're welcoming in the spring season. This couple that was getting married though at this winery was a little bit older. And so their parents, grandparents, obviously they were not alive. So they would have been like 100+ years old, but so their parents are obviously much older. And so we actually called the quote unquote rain plan, and I'm doing air quotes for those that are listening and not watching on YouTube, but, we had to call the rain plan because it was just too damn cold. It was too cold. I think the time of ceremony, it probably would have been close to like maybe low 60s, high 50s. And for elderly people, that's too cold for them, especially for not just the couple and themselves, but like their parents.
Yeah.
So we called the quote unquote rain plan, but obviously there was no rain. It was so beautiful outside. It was just,
I've had that happen before. I've also worked at a venue, and I work there pretty frequently, where there is no AC.
Bro,
and it is
absolutely not.
Yeah. It is a very, very, very large venue. I'm not going to get into specifics, just because I know a lot of people know what I'm talking about. It's a very, very large venue. There is very little ventilation, and there's no AC and or heat in this venue.
No.
And I've actually physically watched people walk up the stairs into this venue and just throw up all over the ground, because after cocktail hour, when they were being pumped full of alcohol, and it was an older gentleman actually, they're being pumped full of alcohol and then walk into this venue that has no airflow and
like heat stroke, heat exhaustion.
Basically heat exhaustion, which is super unsafe.
So dangerous.
And I look at these people and they are miserable. Like the bride's miserable, the groom's miserable. Looking at all the older people, miserable. Like nobody is looking like they're having a great time because there's no AC or heat. Like those are the things that like I think should be number one on your, like, if you're building this venue from ground up, pretend venue, number one should be, what is my climate like in this situation? Because God forbid somebody has a heat stroke or passes out or dies, because I feel like that's
I was about to say that,
like,
and then I'm thinking about too, like in the wintertime, then some people are like, well, okay, then we can bring in like fans and whatnot. Okay, cool. If you bring in fans, all of that noise, then you're not going to hear your speeches. If you have a videographer, that's all going to be in your wedding film.
Nothing but fans in there. Just massive fans, which do
awful.
nothing. And everyone's congregating around the fans.
Now you're just circulating hot air. Yeah. Literally hot air.
Everyone's congregating around the fans.
In like the wintertime then, if anyone thinks about like bringing propane then into a specific like space, not only is it expensive, it's also dangerous. And sometimes in some places, it's against the rules. You can't, it's like grilling a steak in the middle of your kitchen inside your house. Yeah. You don't want to do that. So a lot of places are not going to allow you to have any of those like propane, like little mushroom, little looking things. So, you know, it's all just things that like people have to think about, but
nobody like, I don't know why they're not talked about by the venue owners. Like they're just kind of skating by these like very, very important aspects of having an event.
Because Sarah, I just want to make a bunch of money because I heard the wedding industry is a scam and that we have to like charge an X amount of dollars. So I just want a bunch
until you get a lawsuit.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You're gonna use all that hard-earned money on freaking getting out of a lawsuit because he killed somebody.
And the venue owners too that I have talked to, and I'm like, why don't you have HVAC in this building? Well, it's just really expensive. Yeah, babe, I totally get it. I know it's expensive.
Don't own a venue.
Amen.
Don't open it until it's ready.
You've got to have like just basic necessities. Unfortunately, we live in a world and a society where we just weren't built, us humans, we're not built, unfortunately, without air conditioning any longer. I mean, it's true. We
do not know life without air conditioning.
Our friends across the pond, they like to call it aircon.
Aircon.
I know. It's wild.
Yeah. So I think that was a great grievance.
Now you just got me fired up. I could just like shoot shit all day.
We can go straight on to like other like venue issues, ADA compliant venues.
Girl, you just hit a really, really sore subject for me. So sore. Yeah.
I'm not saying every venue needs to be ADA compliant because that is physically impossible.
Yeah.
But my God, there needs to be more of them. Like, there's none. There's I think, 3?
Probably less than that. I can't even. There's very, very few. Or people don't really understand what ADA compliancy actually is. Where they just think, okay, let me just add a ramp to get inside of the building. Yeah. But then inside of the building or any other place on the property is not accessible at all.
Right. Like
you
the bathrooms.
Correct. Yeah. You adding like a ramp just to get inside does not mean that it's ADA compliant. You not having a potential like elevator for people to access your entire space in and of itself. To me, that's not ADA compliancy like at all. Yep. You having a handicap spot in your parking lot, but then the person cannot or persons cannot again access the rest of your property does not mean that you're ADA compliant. Yep. There are so many venues out there that are claiming themselves as ADA compliant.
Oh, I didn't know they were claiming themselves as ADA compliant.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Because depending on where you are, based off of county, state-wise, and all that sort of thing, where the laws are, there's probably a very small paragraph that just says, hey, this is what deems you to be ADA compliant in and of itself. So they will do the bare minimum and then say, yep, I'm ADA compliant. But then when obviously people are going for site visits and whatnot, which again, if you are potentially a fellow person getting married, or just in general, our entire audience, I think this applies for everybody across the board. If you're helping your couples at all, giving them any kind of advice or encouragement or education by any means, rain plan, but ADA compliancy. Just because maybe the people that are getting married, don't need the ADA like needs or whatever, but think about like any other family members, any other guests,
elderly,
literally anybody. Yeah, literally anybody. I mean, we had obviously, it's a one-off, but most places, if not all places, it is against the law to turn away people for those who have service animals. Mm-hmm. Recently had a wedding this past spring where, did I do my due diligence and I checked with the venue, hey guys, we've got a service animal that is coming. Of course, they're like, yes, as it's not a pet. Nope, it definitely is a service animal. Cool. But even with then we talked about seating like plan in regards to, okay, this person probably needs to be close to an exit. So, you know, when service animal needs to go use the potty, or just accessible for that person in general, if they needed to remove themselves, let's not put them across the room where there's no exit. And now they feel awkward, or maybe someone is like, or they feel like they're being stared at because they have to walk across the room now with their service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same thing then. I have had multitude of issues with venues who do have this quote unquote ramp for those that are non-able-bodied. Those are in wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs, manual, walkers, whatever, canes, whatever have you, that where the ramp is located, it's like in the back of the building. And then they have to walk through the catering kitchen.
Oh.
That shit's happened. Kid you not. Kid you fucking not. They've had to walk through the catering kitchen. They've had to walk through like storage units.
So demeaning.
Yes. All because that it's just quote unquote not attractive.
Okay, but that ramp is not meant for them then. That ramp is meant for the catering kitchen to bring up their fucking
still checks
pallets.
the box though, because it's a ramp. I shit you not.
Oh my God.
I shit you not. I shit you not. It's absolutely wild.
I would love to know the name of this venue.
Offline.
Yeah.
People are gonna be DMing me, being like, "Who are you talking about?" There's actually there's quite a few, and
That's bullshit.
a lot of the times too is our hotels. Our hotels will actually pull that shit as well, being like, "Well, here's they can't access this space, like the
Go to the
elevators
loading
on
dock." Oh my God.
I'm dead ass, and I'm like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me! I'm not having grandma come through the fucking loading dock." To go through
like just a pallet of apples.
For real. I just don't. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with like aesthetics. People are thinking that like, oh, if I have to build something like ADA wise, then it's not aesthetic. You can build it aesthetically, but also at the same time, why the fuck do you care whether it's aesthetically pleasing to your building in order for someone to actually enjoy themselves?
Oh God. Yeah. No, that's bull. That's a load of bull.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
but
nuts.
The thing is like, we're not saying every venue has to be ADA compliant, because obviously that is not going to be a thing.
Right.
But don't pretend to be ADA compliant.
Oh yeah, no, that's the big no-no.
And put yourself out there as ADA compliant. And then when these people go to visit these venues, they can't physically get in the building.
Yep.
Because you're not actually ADA compliant. So yeah.
It is absolutely wild. Yeah. The big thing too is a lot of the passes, I guess, that I'll be honest, I'll give for those where it's like, I really wish you were ADA compliant, but I totally understand, is your historic venues.
Yeah.
Obviously, back in the, Sarah and I, remember we live in the Northern Virginia area, so we are very prominent with a lot of history. A lot of old plantation homes, just other like estate venues in and of itself that like George Washington's cousin, sister, brother's nephew or whatever, like lived in, whatever.
We have a lot of those here.
Yeah, plenty of them. There's some sort of history attached to somewhere. Things like that. So don't expect, obviously, your historic buildings to have any kind of ADA compliancy. There has been a lot of them where they have renovated to try to accommodate as many people as possible. Like you go to Mount Vernon, for example, that place ADA compliant to like a good majority of it.
Is that a wedding venue?
You can get married at Mount Vernon. Yes, you can. Yeah.
Interesting.
Be prepared to spend a lot of money. But there are other places too that where, again, it's just not going to happen. And so you do have to maintain those expectations. But I feel like we are really shouting into the void in the sense of, if you are building a venue from the ground up, or if you are trying to rebuild an old dairy barn or an old any kind of building in and of itself, and you want to host events into it, then you have got to think about, yes, rain plan, inclement weather, any of that type of stuff, but you also have to think about ADA people. ADA people, that's not the correct term, excuse me, but you have to think about ADA compliance. And just because that may be within your local county or your just local region, even if the requirements to quote unquote slap the ADA compliant like term onto your property, don't think about bare minimum and just do bare minimum. You have to literally think about the experience from start to finish.
Agreed.
So
agreed.
There's that.
All right, I'm gonna read our first one, and our first one's real fucking good. Okay, I was so excited when this one came through. I don't know who you are, but thank you. This person would like to remain anonymous. The only thing that they gave us is that they are a florist. It says, I need some updated, honest thoughts and opinions about referral fees or kickbacks to planners from vendors, especially vendors who have to buy fresh products with rising costs. It must always reduce the quality of work for the client and creates a closed competitive circle. Is this ethical? Huh. No.
Oh.
I personally think that is incredibly icky. I don't know how you feel about this, but I think it's icky because it creates what, like this person said, it creates that circle that we find a lot in the luxury market, the quote unquote luxury market. And I have found that happens a lot in the DC market.
Yeah.
That there is a lot of kickbacks from venues to planners and then planners to other vendors. And a lot of people are also paying to be on preferred lists.
Yes.
Which I think is horrible.
It is wrong.
I think it makes the circle way too small and it doesn't allow the opportunity for others to come in and showcase or be able to perform or do whatever it is that they want to do at these venues that they should be able to, especially if the client wants that person to be there. But then they also have to pay, the client then has to pay another fee to bring in an outside person.
Right.
So what are your thoughts?
I have two different thoughts about this. So there is a venue that I personally work at quite often where they have a required caterers list and a required planners list. They have to pick one of the 7 caterers or one of the 7 planners.
That's fine, but are you getting paid for it?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, God, no.
Yeah.
No, and then if the couple were to go off that list, then they do have to pay the venue an additional fee.
What is the purpose of this fee? I've never understood the purpose of that fee.
I don't know necessarily, like, I think the fee is just a deterrent for those to go off the list in and of itself. I feel like though, depending on the venue, they could be flexible with it. It just depends on if you're trying to do something very, very specific. Say for example, you want to get married at a certain venue and the caterers list that's there. We'll just use this venue that I'm talking about hypothetically. Like one of the 7 caterers, like you want a specific cuisine, but one of the 7 or any of the 7, they just don't offer any of that type of cuisine. Then maybe you could talk to the venue and say like, hey, this is not one of the options. Yeah. Like, can we still potentially even go down this road of looking at this other potential caterer with it trying to avoid the fee in and of itself? So there's no hurt in like asking. The worst they can say is no. And then, depending on your priorities with that, then obviously, you either pivot to a different venue or you pivot to a different caterer, whatever floats your fancy. So I am though, in regards to the actual, like where that fee goes to, I think it really is just a deterrent. I don't think necessarily it goes anywhere specific. Like, okay, we're going to take this fee that you gave us and it's going to go towards XYZ. I think it's just there to scare them off. Which again, I'm not a big fan of fear mongering by any means. I get it. I understand the perspective. Am I a fan of it? Not really, to that degree, because then if you are going to do that, and so like the venue that I'm thinking of and at the top of my head who does this, but they are also very open to having new caterers come onto their list or new planners to come onto their list, because walks of life definitely do happen. Some people retire, some people just get out of the industry. Some things obviously happen and where you get kicked off of the list. Yeah. So they're going to be very open to having new people come onto the list in and of itself. But where I have a problem though with this is somebody getting paid for it. Right. That is the problem that I have, in the sense of you're gaining compensation for bringing people in. And I feel like when I first started, we first started, I guess, like, because we're roughly the same time frame. But when I first started, I found this out a whole lot, where there was a stupid amount of people who were getting compensated. And that was actually something that was told to me that I should look into, try to get onto these people's list. This is how it was a way of passive income. Yeah. Which I was like, again, when I first started, I was like, passive income? Like, I don't understand that. What is that? Now I'm like, what can I do to get passive income?
Is this a big thing now? I mean, do you still think this is a big thing nowadays? Because I know when we first started that it was a big thing, especially in DC.
I don't run into it, honestly.
I haven't heard about it in a while, but also
Me neither.
Obviously I'm not looking to be in those venues, so I don't know.
I will be honest, there's a couple of programs that I am a part of where I do get a commission that I actually didn't know that I signed up for. One of them being, I mean, other planners are probably going to be a part of this too, so they know it. For example, there is the company Generation Tux.
Oh.
And so when I first signed up for their wedding planner program, I had no idea that I actually got a kickback check up until I actually got a check the very first time. And I was like, I emailed my rep and I was like, hey, I got a check from you guys. Like, what is this? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's a part of the program. Like when you get signed up, like, or when you sign up or whatever, like however many, I don't even know what the percentage is, but like when you refer your clients or whatever, you'll get some money back. Now, do I like shove Generation Tux then like down my client's throat because of this? No, absolutely not. There are plenty, my clients have gone plenty of times to like other places like Men's Warehouse, Jose Bank, the Black Tux. I'm not sure if Black Tux does any kind of like wedding planner program in and of itself. So am I a part of that kickback program? Yes. But am I using it unethically where it's like, you have to use this program or else?
Yeah. I think there's a line. I think it becomes a fine line of like, I mean, that's kind of with any kind of compensation based anything, is whether or not you use it properly and use it, ethically. I personally think that being paid to be on lists and being paid as a kickback from other vendors, I think you're just creating that ick in the market. That's
this click or whatever that you just feel it's like non-attainable. You're like,
yeah, it's a click. And then you start working with all the same people, which is fine. We all like to work with the same people. Like I get that. But once you do that, you don't really broaden your horizons either on like your type of clientele or like the things that you want to do. I think
also you're doing a disservice into your clients.
Yeah, I agree.
Because then not everyone that you are
cookie cutter at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. And like not the people that are in your circle, they may not be able to serve a certain type of clientele like really well.
Yeah, but they do it because
they know they're going to get some sort of like kickback from it. Yes. Some sort of monetary value or of some kind. So, and it's really frustrating to that degree. But I think to kind of go back around and like, I don't think there's a whole bunch of them.
I don't think there is either.
Because I think it started and then people did get a huge ick from it. Like generally.
It got leaked, I think pretty much is what happened. Is that was going to happen.
I'll never forget when like Style Me Pretty's like Little Black Book came out.
They started another thing.
Awesome. Love that for us.
They did. They literally just started another thing. And I saw this the other day and I was like, when is Style Me Pretty going to get their shit together and realize that they need to stop doing this?
I don't know.
It's a Zola type thing. It's like the Knot and Zola type thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You guys.
It's a magazine, I guess. Or no.
What?
It's like a Zola. I came across my thing the other day. You pay to be on it.
See, that's the other thing too. Like I'm sure eventually we will talk about publications and whatnot. And
Little Black Book.
Yeah. Like whether like publications are obviously like worth it. And what that even like looks like anymore. I know when I first started too, I think we're kind of getting off a little bit of a tangent, but it will come.
That's the purpose of this. It's fine.
But
no, maybe they're just pushing this again. I think they're just pushing this again.
They're pushing the Little Black Book again, just where, but again, in order for them to get, from also what I'm understanding too, is like to get published by Style Me Pretty. I don't know if you have to exclusively be on their Little Black Book, like be one of the vendors on there to get published. But obviously they are going to, like publications now, they are having kind of like this exclusive community where you pay to be a part of this exclusive community. So then when you do want to get published with that particular publication, you are going to be obviously valued more, or not valued. Well, yeah, but like,
but by who?
Prioritized.
By who?
I don't know.
By clients or by vendors? Because nobody knows who the fuck Style Me Pretty is if you ask them.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like by any means.
Okay, so honest thoughts and opinions on that. It's icky if it's used unethically, which I think most of the time that kind of kickback is used unethically.
They mentioned though something about using product. Can you read?
Yeah, especially for vendors who okay, so I need some updated honest thoughts and opinions about referral fees or kickbacks to planners from vendors. I think what they're saying is planners requiring a kickback.
What?
Have you heard that before? Especially vendors who have to buy fresh product with rising costs. It always reduces the quality of work for the client and creates a closed competitive circle. Is this ethical? So I think planners ask for the kickback. I think that's what they're talking about. I don't know if this is a male or female. Have you heard this? I think I've heard this before.
Really?
Where planners are getting kickbacks. Yeah. Like planners are requiring a percentage. Yes, I have heard this before because I've dealt with this before, not personally, but from another person who dealt with this with a planner.
That like the florist needs to cut the planner a check.
They're requiring a percentage. They require a percentage of the vendor's fees for using them, whatever that means. I've heard of this.
Okay.
I have heard of this. You've never heard of this?
No.
This was around a long time ago, again, with the whole vendor or venue kickbacks too, where they give a percentage or whatever. But planners were doing this at one point. I don't think it's a big thing anymore, but this was a thing.
Not. What the hell?
Yeah, it's a luxury that the luxury planners, especially vendors who have to buy fresh products with rising costs. I mean, yeah, because then they're requiring a percentage.
That's wild.
Yeah.
If you have dealt with this, I need y'all to literally send us an email or a DM.
Yeah, this was a thing a while ago. Like by a while ago, I mean pre-COVID, so 3+ years ago, maybe even 4 or 5 years ago from when I first heard this. It struck me as odd when that happened.
I'm interested only in the sense of like I just want to know like how that worked.
Yeah.
Not because I'm interested, obviously. I'm interested like in the actual like. It's like me being interested in like cults and stuff. Not because I want to join a cult, but I'm like I am baffled.
Intrigued.
By this.
Intrigued as to how this works.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah, 2 planners from vendors. It's a thing.
I would never.
I didn't think it was a thing anymore, but do you want to read another one?
Yes. Okay. Another good one. Oh, there was one in here that, I mean, this is technically talking about not necessarily vendor specific, but it was just
I'm curious to see which one you pick.
the 4 maid of honors.
Okay.
A bride went through 3 maid of honors. She was literally the worst. In the 4th maid of honor, she had stood up for the speech and absolutely roasted her, telling the groom good luck. It was hard to watch. Wow. I would love to. I'm trying to think about how I would have dealt with that. Like as a planner, if like one of my brides came to me and saying like, yeah, I'm just going to continue to fire all these like maids of honor up until I get one that I think is right. I think I probably would have had the honest conversation and said, are we getting married for the right reasons? Like, why are we
I know this story.
No, you don't.
And I can't say it because this person wanted to remain anonymous.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think at that point, like as a planner, I would literally, after the second one, God forbid, like maybe the first one, I would love to know the stories of like all the different ones. But there's no like condoning. There's no way. Like after like the second one would be like, okay, maybe it's not them. It is you, babe. It is you. Meaning the bride.
That goes to show you for people who are trying to get married, pick good wedding parties,
dude,
or don't have
them at all. If you
can't go through a list of 3 people minimum and you're like, yes, I would love to have each one of them stand up for me for X, Y, and Z reasons, because they can bring something to the day and not cause an absolute fucking shit show for any reason, even if it's just a tiny reason that could potentially happen. Do not have them stand up next to you. There is no reason.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely no reason for you to just put people up there to fill spaces because you feel like you have to. At that point, have nobody.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you how many times I've done weddings where they just throw people into the wedding party because they need to fill spaces.
Yep.
If you have, and it turns out to be like 13 plus people on either side.
So dumb.
I've had this. Literally had this. And it was a random ass people that I don't know why they were in the wedding. They should have been guests. Like,
so weird.
Super weird. And I was like, there's a line. Like, there's no reason that this person needs to be in this. This is a guest. You're just putting them in there because you need an even number.
Dude, my family tried to force one of another family member to be a bridesmaid onto mine. And I absolutely refused. And I was like, first of all, she's underage. She's not going to be able to participate literally in anything. How boring for her. And two, my family was just, they were awful about it. They were like, well, her feelings are going to get hurt.
Fuck her feelings.
And like, yada, yada, all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, it's okay. I was like, she's still being invited. Like, it's not like I'm not inviting her like to the wedding. Well, she needs to be a part of like, she's expecting to be. And I'm like, okay, well, that's first of all, that's where we've went way wrong, is that y'all have built some expectations around my wedding day that don't align with my wedding. Like, your expectations and my expectations are not aligned with one another.
Right.
So this isn't gonna. No. The answer is no. Second of all, she's underage. She's not gonna be able to participate literally in anything. And third, I'm not close with her anymore. I'm just not. I'm not close. I'm not close with her anymore. Yes, when we grew up,
but it's a family member, so it felt like it needed to be to
that it was a requirement. Yeah. And so like, it's just,
there's nothing that's a requirement.
I'm so tired of like, I think our industry is doing a lot better now where they're like, screw the bridal party. Actually, in general, I am seeing a trend of this happening or if they do have a bridal party, I'm also trying to actually get rid of like the bridal party. I love using the term wedding party in general. I use the
wedding party, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actively trying to work on like replacing that term. But I'm loving also this newer trend where the wedding party does exist, but they don't stand up there next to the couple and that they're just seated in the first row. Yeah. I absolutely love that. One, because your girl loves me some symmetry. And so like seeing a bunch of like different heighted people go up and down, it just drives me crazy. That's because
I'm the opposite. I do not like that.
So what?
I don't like it. I hate when it's like by height. Like that's the most 90s shit I've ever seen. Early 2000s shit I've ever seen.
Reminds you like a little old fashioned candelabra where it's like up and down.
No. Intersperse those bitches. No.
I totally get that. I do get that on an intense level. So, but at that point, see, everyone's preferences are different. Because sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, you got 4'11" maid of honor, and then like 6'4" like right next to her, and I'm like, good Jesus.
Yeah, I had one where they were all like 5'4", and then there was a random like 6-foot girl at the end. I felt so bad for her.
Like, hey, you got put on the end because of your height. Yep. We definitely know why you're there. I'm so sorry, babe.
Yeah.
No, I'm just loving like the trend now where again, because at the same time, then too, I've also noticed like, especially for the wedding party, me as a planner, like it's at rehearsal. And it's right before they get sent down the aisle. Yeah. So the wedding party in general, like during rehearsal and then also right before like I'm sending them down the aisle, they full on panic about how they're looking, how they're standing, what their face is going to look like, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like they're not going to be able to really enjoy like the wedding ceremony and watching their friend get married because they are so focused on, there's a bunch of people that are going to be staring at them. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'll be honest, I probably put a little bit of nervousness into them too, because I try to remind them, hey, there are people going to be looking at you. Your picture's going to be taken. I need you to not,
please.
I need you to not stand up there and like have RBF throughout the entire thing. But I also understand that like if a wedding ceremony is going to be anywhere between 15, 30 minutes long, you standing there smiling like Barbie for 30 minutes.
It's unrealistic. Creepy.
Right. It's unrealistic expectations. So I get it. So I'm loving this of like where wedding parties now are being asked to like sit in the front row so they can fully enjoy. You're still supporting your friend. You know
Have you seen the it's not circular, but it's angled. The guests are angled. So it's like runway style.
Oh, yes.
That's what they're calling it. How do you feel about this? The runway style seating.
I think it's cool. Like in the moment, it's cool. Again, I'm also like thinking about the pictures like in my head of like, then the guests, they're just staring at each other then. And then all of their heads are like completely turned. Like, so if you're trying to get like from a back of the aisle shot, you've got shoulders and you got back of head. Well, you already guessed it, getting back of heads.
Like I like the idea. I like the idea because it's different.
Yeah.
and I'm like desperate for different in this
something
industry.
different than like the straight chairs or just even like the angled chairs.
I love
Now,
the angled chairs.
What I
Have you seen
love
the circles?
That's what I'm
Oh,
coming
I
to.
love a circle.
The big whole circle type situation,
Yes.
where the couple is literally like smack dab in the middle.
Yes.
There are there's no guest standing directly behind either one of the couple.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like
it's like a
it's
stadium seating almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like in like the four corners type situation, but like in a circular like form. But I love that because then it is. To me, I always look for symbolism in like literally everything because I'm a freaking like softie to no end and romantic. But I'm like, you are then physically then surrounded by family and friends.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it is stupid cute.
One of my other planner friends, our friend Christina, she just did a wedding. Our friend, she's our friend.
She is our friend.
Our friend in spirit. It's 444. She just did a wedding where the couple stood up on a platform. Everyone stood. It was a backyard wedding. I loved this so much. It was a backyard wedding and everyone stood. And then the couple stood at the bottom, kind of like at the bottom of a hill. And they were on a platform. And then all around them, each family member had a stone to stand on, and they circled them, and then you would like this, they did a prayer and they all could touch them at one time.
I do
and
love this.
It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't know how I feel about everyone standing, but they didn't have enough seats, obviously, because it was a backyard wedding. But they all stood. It was a short ceremony, I believe. But I thought that was super cute. So they stood on a podium pretty much, and then their family circled them.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Oh, that is
super
really
neat.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Again, just being a little bit different, but also then it's still being intentional with it.
I know. I loved
like
it.
That. I like that.
I think we have time for what? One more?
Yeah, do it.
Let's do one more. Okay. I'll do this one. I'll save this one because it's really long. Let's do.
Oh yeah, that one. For those also that are listening, if we don't get to your What the Fuck Wednesday story this time around,
we'll get to it next time.
There are more to come. Yes. Don't you worry. So we've got it in the archives.
We kind of spiral, which is the point of this. So we are not able to get to all of them.
All of them, yeah.
Okay. Let's do this one. Unpopular opinion. This is also from an anonymous person. The garter retrieval is trashy as fuck. Nobody needs their heads up in someone else's crotch with their grandmothers 10 feet away. I don't care if it's tradition, just no. I agree. Mm-hmm. I think that is a tradition that I am so grateful that I think is going out the window. I think it's finally.
What if I told you that I liked it? I'm dead ass. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Oh my god!
Y'all just seen Sarah's face just now.
Okay, what's really funny is I low key like it because it makes for fun photos.
Oh yeah,
that's the only reason I like it, because it's always embarrassing.
But then just do the garter toss. Don't do the retrieval and toss. Just do the toss in and of itself.
Okay, but I see the retrieval is the one that's. I think the toss is what gets creepy because
really?
Yes. So when you do a full traditional garter and bouquet toss retrieval, the person who catches the bouquet and the person who catches the garter.
Oh yeah, no, don't do that.
Yeah, so that's traditional. So if you don't know, when you throw the bouquet, the girl that catches or whoever that catches the bouquet, and then the guy who catches the garter has to put the garter on the girl who catches the bouquet. That said, I have run into so many situations where the girl who catches the bouquet is very young, very much minor, very, very much minor. And then the guy that catches the garter is very much not minor, very old, old, creepy uncle old.
No.
And I've watched...
There's a reason why this uncle is single then.
Yeah. I've watched so many of these, way too many of these, where now creepy uncle, creepy Dave, now has to put the garter on the girl.
They still did it.
And they did it.
No, you didn't. You're lying. You're just making it up.
I'm not fucking lying to you. They did it.
You're making this shit up.
They did it. It was so bad. It was so uncomfortable.
See, that I'm all for tradition. I'm a huge traditionalist person, I'll be honest. the garter retrieval, just having the groom, like traditionally it is the groom going up the bride's dress.
Do we know why this started? Like what the actual tradition was?
I could read up something, but if I can remember correctly, it is the symbol of like he is going to be like removing her purity, essentially.
Okay. This is getting creepier and creepier.
It's like that's
Google it.
That's the whole idea, is that like he is removing a garter. Also, remember, like back in the day, it's not a chastity belt, but it was this symbol of like purity and whatnot. And also it's like obviously the scandalous type situation. And so then with the removal of the garter, yeah, I told you.
No.
Totally something. Do I have it wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, what? I was told incorrectly. Sorry, guys.
Okay. So crowds of guests became so... Wait, hold on. Okay. It's for luck. The garter toss tradition stems from the medieval superstition that the wedding guest taking a piece of the bride's dress was good luck. A garter was a simple item that a bride could give as a good luck charm instead of guests tearing apart the wedding attire. Crowds of guests became so bawdy that they often followed the couple into their marital bed, ripping their clothes as a form of encouragement, and so the bride and groom started tossing the bouquet and the garters that held up the bride's stockings as a way to appease the crowd. So it's two different. So one,
That's
it was
not what I was told. It had everything to do with the bride's purity or lack. Well, then in the future, lack there,
yeah.
Where it was a symbol of like I'm about to
I
take.
think we should do a whole podcast on where traditions stem from.
Dude, let's do it. That's
Let's
a whole
do that
other idea
because they're all horrible.
Oh, 1,000%.
They're all terrible.
The whole reason, I mean, like
the giving away,
yep,
and all. Let's do a whole.
The reason
podcast.
why the bride's dress is white.
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole podcast,
which is crazy. In the sense of there are so many traditions that are being chucked out the window. I mean, there are now a lot of I think it's a particular person that there's colored wedding dresses, but I think the white dress, I don't think that'll ever leave.
No.
Even though it is literally a symbol of your so-called purity. Like it's based off of like the woman's purity.
I love this. We're going to do a whole podcast on traditions. I'm super excited because we're all going to learn about them. So I have to agree. Yes, the whole garter thing is trashy and should not be done.
Yeah, don't really like.
Although it does make for fun photos, but that's literally just because I'm looking for something
to include in the gallery.
I'm looking for something in a sea of dancing photos that's not dancing photos for a reception.
Most favorite.
So do something else.
That is starting to catch wind, and we'll close out with this one, is my last wedding back in, it was last fall, we did what was called a puppy toss.
Did you toss puppies?
I was about to say, it's not an actual physical, like not a live animal.
Oh.
However, because they didn't want to do the traditional like garter and bouquet toss. Mm-hmm. They weren't really fans of it. But we termed it like a puppy toss, but they just took a stuffed animal of a puppy. And so then, it was a bride and a groom, and they both tossed it together. And whoever caught the stuffed animal, then that was the next person who had to go and adopt a dog. Yeah. It was so cute.
I love this so much.
And then on top of this, next type of a different rendition, this past spring, we had a bride where I think it actually came from her home country's tradition, where she tossed a stuffed frog. So not a bouquet, but a stuffed frog. Because, then the frog then symbolized like the whole like Princess and the Frog type situation. So then that single woman, then she would be like the next one to find like her like Prince Charming. And so then she was supposed to, like, after she tossed the frog, the person who caught the frog kisses like the stuffed animal. It was a stuffed animal frog. Kissed the.
It's a real frog.
Gross.
Could you imagine just a massive toad just chucking it in the air?
Oh my God. Bless it. But yeah, so then the gal who caught it, like kisses like the stuffed frog, and then she's the next person to like find her Prince Charming.
That is the cutest thing I've
ever heard. I think that was
heard.
like really cute. So I'm loving these renditions that are like still they're including like this type of tradition. Also, it's a fun like little element. You also know that I'm actually really glad that's not around anymore is the shoe game.
Really?
I'm glad that it's gone.
Is it gone?
I have not
I haven't had it done in a
I haven't
while.
done it in a really long time. I
Yeah.
think it's gone because I think people ruined it in the sense of
It got nerdy. It got dirty.
it got real personal,
Yeah.
real effing quick.
Yeah.
And grandma's sitting there. Why does grandma need to know like who's bottom or top?
Okay, so I will say I have not been at a wedding that it got dirty on.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have.
However, I've heard your stories before. Things that go awry very quickly. Actually, I've heard another story. I'm going to have this planner write in her stories because it's not Christina, it's another planner. But
Share all the
also
wealth.
Christina has great stories. But I'm going to have this planner write in the story because she just had a wedding not too long ago that was absolutely the most horrendous thing I've ever heard. And it needs to be shared. So I'm going to see if she'll write in because it had to do with that. It got super dirty.
Oh no.
Really, really fast. And it was like family members that were
No.
chiming in. Yeah. It was
What?
weird. It was super weird. Yeah. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
You guys, okay, I'm all for, obviously, the whole reason why that we're having a wedding, remember, is that two people are getting married and we're throwing a really awesome party, okay?
Mhm.
This is not, though,
It's not a
not
a bachelor
Chippendales. This is not the local Paper Moon, which is a local strip club in our in our area. Just if everyone's like, what's Paper Moon?
I
It's a
feel
strip
like
club.
everyone knows Paper Moon, which is so weird. Cause that's near where I used to live. But
That's where
people
I grew up. Not Paper. I didn't grow up in the Paper Moon. Sorry, I grew up in the area. Where Paper.
This
Oh my
just
God.
in. Katie is a stripper.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Jesus.
Yeah,
Blessed
that's so funny.
mother.
If you say Paper Moon around here, people are like, "Oh, I know what that is."
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's hilarious.
It's the most random part of town, though. It's so.
That's literally.
weird.
I used to live up. Where did you grow up?
We've talked about this. I grew up in Burke.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
Oh,
We went to rival high schools.
yeah.
I think you have amnesia.
But Burke is the Paper Moon's not in Burke.
No, it's not.
I guess. Okay, so you do know because you were. Yeah. Okay, got it.
It's just like in the local area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike's American Grill. Went
Yeah.
there for every birthday dinner that I've ever had.
Yeah,
Still continue
That's-
that tradition.
that's where I have to go after this. Not Mike's, but that area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's far away.
I know.
Ooh,
Okay, so I think that was a fabulous
I think it
What the
was
Fuck
great.
Wednesday.
First one.
So if you enjoyed this, we would love to hear from you. It does not have to be a long grievance. It does
Nope.
not have to be anything particular. It can just be something that you want us to talk about.
Yep.
And just shoot the shit on because we like to do that a lot. And I think that you guys writing in your topics for us to just kind of stem off of is really, really fun.
Because then again, remember, we're also using it to like to educate other people in the sense of like, okay, if somebody else has like, especially these stories too, or I'll be honest, they're mostly supposed to be like for vendor to vendor. Yes, if you have like a crazy couple or crazy story from like a wedding guest perspective, totally fine. You guys can write those in as well. But I think I'll speak, I guess, on the behalf of us. Sorry. But we really would love to know like your vendor to vendor stuff because at the same time, remember, we are trying to clear the ick from how we're behaving towards each other.
I just like the tea.
Well, Sarah also just like the tea. I'm like, let me share the wealth.
She's
Let's
like, let me
educate
teach you. I'm like, give it all to me.
Yeah.
Give me the dirty. I love
So
it.
we'll take obviously anything that y'all are going to give us, like no problem whatsoever. But would love to kind of clear some icks about sometimes how we are treating one another. Just because, again, I think the whole the origin of a wedding has kind of.
I love
gone
that you're
way off
trying to be
track.
like super politically correct on this. And you're like, this is the purpose. And I'm like, nah, babe. I just want to hear
I
that.
want to talk shit about somebody else.
I just want to
I'm just
hear
kidding.
all the tea that goes on
I do
at these freaking
I do
weddings.
too. But I want to hear the tea, but then also be like, don't do that again. That's
Here's
not
how
nice.
we learn from it.
That's not nice. I want to shake my finger at you and not refer you ever again.
Use your eye feelings, your eye sentences. I feel when this happens.
You guys, my therapist told me that statement. Okay, it really works. I feel this way when you do this. It makes it for people not to be defensive. Okay, it works. Try it next time.
Anyway, we love you guys.
Where can we find, or where can they find us on the interwebs, Sarah?
You can find us on Instagram at Behind the Aisle Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube
Yeah.
Because this is also on YouTube, guys. If you would like to see our shining faces and our amazing reactions to things, strictly just for that.
Or sometimes the cats will make an appearance too every now and again.
We're also at Behind the Aisle Podcast on there. Literally Behind the Aisle Podcast on everything. If you want to write into our What the Fuck Wednesdays thread, there is a form that you can fill out at behindtheaislepodcast.com. Yep. You can't miss it. It is literally the first thing that pops up. Literally the first thing. So share some stories with us. We'd love to hear from you guys. And if you want to email us, I guess you can email at us at hello at Behind the Aisle Podcast. Yeah. Okay. Correct. So if you want to email us, you can also email us at hello at
Behind the Aisle Podcast.
God, I can't say this for some reason. Hello at behindtheaislepodcast.com. And then if you want to find me, I'm at Serendipity Photography on Instagram. And Katie, where are you?
I am also on Instagram and other platforms as well as at Tillyandteal, TILLYANDTEAL.
Perfect. Love you. Can't wait to see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.